A completely ordinary winter day in a Swedish village. 1883, before the sun rises over the northern horizon. The Swedish village remains entirely still. It is winter, and the cold has settled deeply into the land. Snow lies quietly on rooftops, on fences, and along the narrow paths that connect one house to another. The sky above is dark, not dramatic, just heavy and muted, with no visible stars. The village does not wake suddenly. It never does. Instead, it stays suspended in a long moment between night and morning, where nothing moves quickly and nothing feels urgent. The houses stand in simple rows, built from wood cut many years earlier. Their walls are darkened by time, weather, and smoke from countless winters. Each house looks much like the next. There is no decoration meant to impress. The windows are small, placed carefully to preserve warmth. Behind them, people sleep under thick blankets, breathing slowly, unaware of the exact hour. There are no clocks in most homes. Time is not measured precisely here. It is felt, instead, through light, cold, and habit. Outside, the air is motionless. No wind moves through the trees. The branches of birch and pine hold snow without shaking. The forest surrounding the village appears frozen, not just by temperature, but by stillness itself. Even the animals are quiet. Birds remain hidden, their bodies conserving warmth. Somewhere beneath the snow, small creatures are awake, but they do not disturb the surface. Nothing breaks the calm. The ground beneath the snow is uneven, shaped by footsteps taken days ago. Those paths are now filled in again, smoothed by falling snow. Each path leads somewhere familiar, from house to barn, from barn to storage shed, from shed to the edge of the forest. There are no new paths today. There is no reason for one. Everything follows the same pattern it always has. Inside one of the houses, a man sleeps near the wall, his back turned toward the center of the room. He has done this for many years. The position feels natural to him. His breathing is slow and steady. Nearby, a woman sleeps closer to the stove, where a small amount of heat still lingers from the night before. The fire has nearly gone out, leaving only faint warmth and the smell of old smoke. Neither of them stirs. There is no sound that demands attention. In another house, children sleep together on a narrow bed. Their blankets are shared. The cold encourages closeness. They do not dream of anything particular. Dreams, if they come, are quiet and unremarkable. The night offers no excitement. It only offers rest. The village has existed in this place for a long time. No one remembers exactly when it began. The land was cleared slowly, tree by tree, season by season. Each house was built when it became necessary, not when it became desirable. The result is a settlement that feels neither new nor old, but simply present. It exists because people remain here, and people remain because they always have. There is no anticipation of events. No one waits for news. No one expects visitors. The road leading away from the village is covered in snow and disappears into the forest. It will remain unused today, as it does on most winter days. Travel is avoided when it is unnecessary. Staying is easier than leaving. Before dawn, the cold feels strongest. The absence of sunlight makes the temperature seem heavier. Wood contracts slightly. Roof beams make quiet sounds as they adjust. These sounds are not alarming. They are familiar. The houses respond to winter the way they always do. In the barn, at the edge of the village, animals shift their weight slightly. A cow exhales, producing a faint cloud of condensation in the dim interior. Straw rustles under slow movement. The animals do not call out, they wait. Feeding time will come later when someone decides it is time. Until then, patience fills the space. There is no bell to signal the morning, no more voice to announce the hour. The village relies on subtle changes. The faintest light will eventually appear at the edge of the sky. That will be enough. It always is. Snow covers the roofs evenly, softening their shape. Chimneys rise above them, dark against the gray sky. Smoke does not rise yet. Fires will be restarted later. For now, the village remains unmarked by movement. If someone were to walk through it at this moment, their footsteps would be the only sign that time is passing. The stillness does not feel temporary. It feels complete. Winter encourages this feeling. It slows everything equally. Work, conversation, thought. There is no advantage to moving faster. The day will unfold at its own pace, regardless of intention. Inside the houses, breathing continues. Blankets shift slightly as someone turns in their sleep. A hand moves closer to warmth. These movements are small and unconscious. They do not signal waking, they only maintain comfort. The wooden floors are cold beneath the beds. They will remain cold for most of the day. People here are used to it. Cold is not an interruption. It is a constant presence. It shapes how people stand, how they move, how long they pause before beginning any task. The village does not prepare for the day in advance. There are no plans written down. There is only repetition. Each winter day resembles the last, with only minor variations. Snow may fall, or it may not. The sky may lighten sooner or later. None of this changes what must be done. In the distance, beyond the forest, the land stretches quietly. Fields rest beneath snow, waiting for a season that feels very far away. No one thinks about spring right now. Thinking too far ahead serves no purpose. The darkness begins to thin, almost imperceptibly. It is not a clear change. It happens gradually, as if the night is simply becoming less heavy. The sky shifts from deep gray to a lighter shade. This change goes unnoticed by those still asleep. Their bodies will respond later, without conscious decision. The village remains unchanged by this subtle light. No doors open. No footsteps appear. The quiet continues without effort. It does not require attention or maintenance. It simply exists. This moment before dawn is not special. It is not remembered. It happens every day in winter, and it passes without comment. That is why it feels so complete. Nothing competes with it. Soon, someone will wake. A fire will be rebuilt. Water will be drawn. Animals will be fed. But none of that belongs to this moment. This moment belongs only to stillness, cold, and time moving slowly forward without interruption. For now, the village sleeps exactly as it did yesterday and as it will tomorrow, held gently in the quiet before morning. Morning does not arrive suddenly in the village. It approaches slowly, without announcement. The light outside becomes slightly clearer, though the sun itself remains hidden beyond the low winter horizon. Inside the houses, the change is felt not through brightness, but through habit. Bodies that have followed the same rhythm for years begin to shift, not because they are eager, but because it is time. In one house, the man near the wall opens his eyes without moving his head. He remains still for a few moments, listening. There is nothing in particular to hear. The room is quiet, except for breathing and the faint sound of wood adjusting to the cold. He does not sit up immediately. There is no reason to hurry. The day will be long, and it will unfold the same way, whether he begins now or a few minutes later. Eventually, he moves his legs over the edge of the bed. His feet touch the cold floor. This sensation is expected. It does not surprise him. He sits there briefly, allowing his body to adjust. Nearby, the woman remains asleep, turned slightly toward the stove. He does not wake her. She will rise when she feels ready. He stands slowly and reaches for a thick garment hanging on a wooden peg. The garment has been worn many times. Its fabric is stiff in places, softened in others. He puts it on without thinking. Each movement follows a familiar pattern. There is no variation. The room is dim. Light enters through the small window, but it is weak and gray. It does not illuminate details. It only confirms that night has passed. He moves carefully, not to avoid noise, but because the space is small and every object has a fixed place. A table stands near the wall. A chair is pushed beneath it. Nothing has changed since yesterday. He kneels near the stove and opens the small metal door. Inside, the remains of last night's fire are visible. Ashes rest quietly, holding a trace of warmth. He adds small pieces of wood and strikes a spark. The action is unremarkable. He has done this thousands of times. Soon, a faint glow appears, followed by a soft, crackling sound. The fire does not roar. It grows slowly, as fires do in winter. In another house, a woman wakes before anyone else. She adjusts her blanket and sits upright. Her breath is visible in the cool air. She pauses briefly, then stands and reaches for a shawl. She wraps it around her shoulders before moving across the floor. Her movements are careful but not delicate. The floor creaks slightly under her weight. This sound does not disturb anyone. It is part of the morning. She opens a small container near the wall and removes a piece of bread left from the day before. It is firm and dry. She places it on the table. Food preparation is simple at this hour. There is no appetite for variety. The purpose of eating is to sustain, not to enjoy. Children wake gradually. One turns over and pulls the blanket closer. Another sits up and rubs their eyes. No one speaks yet. Words are unnecessary in the morning. Everyone knows what must be done. The sequence is familiar. Outside, the village begins to show subtle signs of life. A door opens quietly. Footprints appear in the snow, leading from house to barn. These tracks are spaced evenly, showing no haste. The person walking keeps their head slightly lowered, protecting their face from the cold. Breath rises and fades quickly in the air. At the barn, the door is opened slowly. Inside, the animals respond with slight movement. They do not rush forward. They wait as they always do. Feeding happens at the same time each day. Consistency matters more than speed. Hay is lifted and placed carefully. Hands move with practiced efficiency. There is no conversation. The sound of hay shifting and animals chewing fills the space. It is not loud. It is steady and calming. Back in the houses, fires continue to grow stronger. Heat spreads gradually, never evenly. People position themselves closer to warmth when possible. The stove becomes the center of the room, not by design, but by necessity. Water is needed. A bucket is lifted and carried outside. The path to the well is familiar. Snow crunches softly under boots. The air feels sharper now that the body is awake. The bucket is lowered carefully, raised slowly. The water inside is dark and still. No one looks at their reflection. Breakfast is simple. Bread is eaten slowly. Sometimes it is dipped into warm liquid. No one rushes. The day does not reward haste. Eating takes place mostly in silence. The sounds of chewing and swallowing are unremarkable. Clothing is adjusted. Layers are added. Hands are rubbed together briefly before gloves are pulled on. Everything has its place. Nothing is searched for. If an item is missing, it will be found later. There is no anxiety about it. The village looks slightly different now. Smoke begins to rise from chimneys, thin and gray against the pale sky. This is the clearest sign that morning has arrived. Still, the atmosphere remains subdued. No one discusses plans. There is no need. The tasks of the day are determined by the season. Winter narrows the range of possibilities. Work will happen indoors or close to home. Travel is unnecessary. In one house, a child sits near the stove, watching the fire without expression. The flames move slowly. They are not fascinating. They are simply there. The child's attention drifts, but no one notices. There is no expectation that attention must be focused. Tools are gathered quietly. An axe is lifted from where it rests against the wall. Its handle is worn smooth. It fits the hand comfortably. The weight is familiar. It will be used later as it was yesterday. The morning continues without interruption. Each household follows its own pace, though all are similar. The village does not synchronize itself intentionally. The similarity comes from shared conditions, not coordination. The light outside improves slightly. The sky is now a pale gray, offering enough visibility to move without difficulty. The sun remains absent. It will not appear clearly today. No one expects it to. As the early morning passes, the village settles into a quiet rhythm. The initial movements are complete. Fires are burning. Animals are fed. People are awake. Nothing extraordinary has happened. Nothing needs to be remembered. This is how mornings begin here. Slowly, quietly, without distinction, each one blends into the next. It simply continues, shaping the day without drawing attention to itself. As the early morning settles into its next phase, movement through the village remains slow and deliberate. No one walks quickly across the snow. Each step is placed with care. not because of danger, but because the surface beneath the boots is uneven and cold. The snow compresses slightly with each step, producing a soft, familiar sound. This sound has been part of winter for as long as anyone can remember. Paths that were faint earlier now become more defined. They do not widen. They simply deepen where people have passed. From each house, a narrow line of footprints leads outward, connecting dwellings to barns, sheds, and woodpiles. These paths are temporary. By tomorrow, fresh snow may erase them completely. This does not concern anyone. A man walks toward the edge of the forest, carrying an axe. He holds it loosely at his side. The weight of the tool does not feel heavy. It feels expected. His breath rises in a steady rhythm, visible for a moment before fading. He does not stop to observe the surroundings. He has seen them every day of his life. Trees stand quietly, their branches holding snow without movement. The forest does not feel distant. It begins where the village ends. There is no clear boundary. The trees simply become denser and the ground less even. The man follows a path that exists mostly in memory. His feet know where to go without instruction. Near one of the barns, a woman carries a small container across the yard. She walks slowly to avoid slipping. Her shoulders are slightly hunched against the cold. She does not look around as she walks. Her attention is on maintaining balance and keeping her hands warm inside her sleeves. When she reaches the door, she opens it carefully and steps inside without pausing. Inside the barn, the air is warmer than outside, though still cold. The smell of hay and animals fills the space. The animals respond to her presence with minimal movement. They are accustomed to these visits. There is no excitement. She sets the container down and begins a simple task that requires little thought. Her hands move steadily. The task will take as long as it takes. There is no advantage to speed. In the open spaces between houses, the village appears almost unchanged from earlier in the morning. Smoke continues to rise from chimneys, though it remains thin and subdued. The sky stays pale and overcast. Light is present, but it does not brighten the landscape. It only allows it to be seen. A child walks slowly behind an adult, stepping carefully into the same footprints to make walking easier. The child's movements are cautious but uncomplaining. Cold is accepted without comment. There is no discussion of discomfort. Everyone knows it is winter. The woodpile near one house shows signs of recent use. Logs have been removed, leaving small gaps. Fresh wood will be added later, perhaps today, perhaps another day. There is no urgency. The pile has lasted through many winters. It will last through this one as well. The man in the forest selects a fallen branch partially buried in snow. He does not rush. He adjusts his stance, lifts the axe, and brings it down with measured force. The sound of wood splitting is brief and dull. It does not echo. The action is repeated several times. Each movement is similar to the last. There is no variation worth noting. As pieces of wood accumulate, they are set aside neatly. Order is maintained without effort. Disorder would only create difficulty later. The man pauses occasionally, not from exhaustion, but to maintain a steady rhythm. He breathes, lifts, strikes, and sets aside. Time passes without being counted. Elsewhere, another person walks toward the well again, even though water was already drawn earlier. Additional water is always useful. The bucket swings slightly at their side. The handle is cold against the glove. The person adjusts their grip without looking. The well stands unchanged, surrounded by packed snow. Its wooden frame is darkened by age and moisture. The bucket is lowered slowly. The rope creaks softly. The water below does not ripple until the bucket reaches it. When it is raised, droplets fall back into the well, disappearing immediately. Movement continues throughout the village, but it remains sparse. People are not gathering. They are not interacting more than necessary. Each person follows their own routine within the shared environment. The similarity of actions is not coordinated. It emerges naturally from shared needs. A sled rests against a fence, unused. It may be needed later. For now, it remains still, its runners half buried in snow. No one checks it. There is no reason to. When it is needed, it will be taken. The snow absorbs sound. Voices do not carry far, but there are a few voices anyway. Most communication is unnecessary. Tasks are understood. Instructions are not repeated. The quiet is not enforced. It simply persists. In one yard, a person pauses briefly, looking down at the snow-covered ground. There is nothing specific to see. The pause lasts only a moment before movement resumes. These small pauses are common. They do not signal reflection or indecision. They are simply part of moving slowly. The cold remains constant. It does not worsen or improve noticeably. Hands feel numb, then warm again when brought closer to the body. Faces remain mostly still, expressions unchanged. The cold shapes movement, but does not interrupt it. The village does not change its appearance as activity continues. It remains muted and subdued. No bright colors stand out. Clothing blends into the surroundings. Wood, snow, and sky form a limited palette. This uniformity is not intentional. It is the result of necessity and environment. As more wood is gathered and more small tasks are completed, there is no sense of progress. The work does not aim toward a visible outcome. It maintains what already exists. This maintenance is ongoing and endless. When one task ends, another begins quietly. The man in the forest eventually gathers the split wood and carries it back toward the village. His steps are steady. The weight is balanced. He does not adjust his pace. When he reaches the woodpile, he adds the pieces carefully, fitting them into the existing arrangement. The pile changes slightly, but its overall shape remains the same. Back near the houses, doors open and close softly. Someone steps inside to warm their hands. Someone else steps out to continue a task. The movement between indoors and outdoors repeats without comment. The transition from cold to warmth and back again is familiar. No one marks the time. The morning advances gradually, but there is no clear point at which it becomes late morning. The distinction is unimportant. The light remains consistent, and the cold persists. The village continues to function without drawing attention to itself. Each person's movement through the snow leaves a brief mark that'll soon disappear. Nothing here is meant to last in a visible way. The routines endure, not the traces they leave behind. As the slow movement through snow continues, the village remains calm and unremarkable. The day proceeds without event, shaped only by habit, environment, and the steady passing of time. By the time the day reaches what might be called midday, the village does not appear significantly different from the morning. The light has stabilized into a pale, even gray that neither brightens nor fades noticeably. The sun remains hidden, and no shadows move across the ground. Time continues to pass without providing visual markers. Most of the early tasks have already been completed. Fires are established and maintained at a low, steady level. Animals have been fed and checked. Water has been drawn and stored. None of these actions required discussion, and none of them required acknowledgement afterward. They were done because they are always done. Inside the houses, activity slows further. People remain close to the warmth of the stove. Some sit on benches or low stools, their backs slightly curved, hands resting in their laps or loosely holding small objects. There is no urgency in their posture. They are not waiting for anything to happen. A man sits at a table, slowly repairing a simple tool. He turns it in his hands, examining it without concern. The repair is minor. A small adjustment is all that is needed. He works quietly, his movements precise but unhurried. There is no sense of progress. The tool will be ready when it is ready. Nearby, a woman folds a piece of cloth that was washed earlier and has since dried near the stove. She smooths it carefully and sets it aside. The cloth will be used again soon. Everything here is reused. Nothing is considered finished. Children sit or stand nearby, occasionally shifting their weight or adjusting their clothing. They do not ask questions. They do not demand attention. Their presence is steady and unremarkable. They observe without expectation, learning not through instruction, but through repetition. Outside, the village is quiet. There is less movement now than earlier. Paths through the snow are no longer being refreshed by new footprints. They remain visible, but unchanged. The snow around them is undisturbed, forming smooth, unbroken surfaces that reflect the dull light. Smoke continues to rise from chimneys, but it is thinner than before. Fires are kept small to conserve fuel. The smoke drifts upward slowly and dissolves into the gray sky. There's no wind to carry it far. The barn doors remain closed. Inside, the animals rest or stand quietly. Their movements are minimal. They chew slowly or shift position without noise. They do not require attention at this hour. The silence of midday is not complete, but it is consistent. Small sounds exist, but they do not overlap or compete. The crackle of a fire, the faint creak of wood as someone shifts on a bench, the quiet sound of breath. These sounds do not interrupt the silence. They belong to it. In one house, someone pours a small amount of warm liquid into a cup. The action is deliberate. The cup is held carefully to avoid spilling. The liquid is consumed slowly. There is no conversation while drinking. The warmth is noticed, but not discussed. Another person steps outside briefly, standing near the doorway. They look out across the village without focusing on any particular point. The cold air touches their face, but they do not react. After a short moment, they step back inside and close the door gently behind them. The midday period does not invite reflection. It does not suggest rest or effort. It simply exists as a continuation of the morning without a clear beginning or end. No one marks it as distinct. In the storage sheds, supplies remain undisturbed. Shelves hold jars and sacks arranged carefully. Each item has been placed with intention, though that intention is no longer remembered. The arrangement remains because it works, not because it was planned. The light through the windows remains unchanged. It does not encourage activity or discourage it. It is sufficient to see and nothing more. Shadows do not move across the floor. Time passes without leaving visible traces. In one corner of a room, a person sits quietly, hands folded, eyes open, but unfocused. They are not asleep. They are not thinking about anything specific. This state is familiar and comfortable. There is no need to fill it with action. Outside, the forest surrounding the village appears unchanged. The boundary between village and forest remains quiet and undefined. Midday does not bring visitors. No one arrives from elsewhere. No one prepares to leave. The road remains empty, its surface covered and softened by snow. There are no tracks leading toward or away from the village. The tools used earlier are set aside where they belong. An axe rests against a wall. A bucket sits near the door. Their presence does not demand attention. They will be used again later, or perhaps tomorrow. Inside, someone adjusts the fire, adding a small piece of wood. The flames respond briefly, then settle. The warmth increases slightly. The person returns to their place without comment. There is no sense of accomplishment associated with midday. It does not represent progress toward anything. It is simply part of the ongoing cycle. The village does not move toward an outcome. It maintains itself. Children move quietly from one place to another. They sit, stand, and sit again. Their movements are small and contained. They do not disturb the space. They adapt to it. The silence continues to hold the village together. It does not feel empty. It feels full of routine. Every object, every surface, every sound fits into a pattern that requires no explanation. Time passes without measurement. No one looks at the position of the sun because it offers little information. The day does not divide itself clearly into segments. It flows slowly, evenly. The midday hours are neither restful nor demanding. They exist between tasks, between needs. They allow the village to pause without stopping. As this period continues, nothing changes significantly. No new actions begin. No old actions conclude. The village remains in a state of quiet continuity, held in place by habit and environment. The silence of midday does not announce its end. It will simply fade into the next phase of the day, as unnoticed as it began. For now, it remains steady and unremarkable, filling the village with a calm that requires no attention. The middle of the day arrives quietly in the village without any clear announcement. There is no bell, no signal, and no shared moment of pause. Instead, people slowly recognize the time through habit. Movements become slightly slower. Hands rest longer between tasks. Attention turns inward, toward warmth and nourishment. Meals at this time of day are simple and unremarkable. They are not prepared with creativity or variation. The food is familiar, predictable, and unchanged from week to week. This constancy is intentional. It removes the need for decision and allows the day to continue without interruption. Inside the houses, small preparations begin. A pot is moved closer to the fire. A lid is lifted briefly, then replaced. Steam rises gently, then disappears into the air. No one watches it for long. Bread is taken from a shelf or a cloth-covered container. It is sliced slowly, not carefully, but with practiced ease. Each piece looks nearly identical to the last. The knife makes a soft, steady sound against the wood. Butter or preserved fat is spread thinly. There is no excess. The amount used has been learned over time, enough to provide warmth and energy. No more. In some houses, dried fish is taken out and placed on a plate. It is not seasoned or altered. Its flavor is already known. There is no discussion about whether it will be eaten. It always is. People sit down where they happen to be. There is no formal arrangement. Chairs are pulled closer to the fire. Stools are placed near tables. Some remain standing briefly before settling. No one rushes. The meal does not mark a break from the day, but a continuation of it. Children eat quietly. They are given portions that match their age and strength. They do not ask for more. They have learned what is available and what is expected. Conversation, if it occurs at all, is minimal. A short remark about the fire, a brief acknowledgement of the cold. Silence quickly returns. Outside, the village remains still. No smoke rises in excess. No new sounds appear. Those who are inside stay inside. Those who are outside continue their work until they return later. The light through the windows remains pale and indirect. Snow reflects it, filling the rooms without brightness. Someone drinks a warm liquid slowly. The cup is held with both hands. The warmth is noticed, but not commented on. When the cup is empty, it is set aside. There is no beginning and no clear end. People eat until the food is gone or until they feel ready to stop. Utensils are simple and worn. Plates are plain. Nothing is decorated. Nothing draws attention. After eating, crumbs are brushed away with the back of a hand. Plates are stacked. Cups are returned to their places. These actions are quiet and efficient. Leftover food, if any, is covered and stored. It will be used later. Waste is avoided without thought. This practice is not moralized. It is simply normal. Some people remain seated for a short time after the meal. They do not speak. They do not sleep. They simply exist in stillness, allowing the warmth to settle. Children lean against walls or benches. Their energy is subdued by the steady rhythm of the day. There is no need to entertain them. Outside, the cold continues unchanged. The snow does not melt. The sky does not clear. These conditions are expected and accepted. In a nearby house, someone stirs the fire again, not because it is failing, but because it is time. A single piece of wood is added. The sound is soft and familiar. The midday meal does not create satisfaction or pleasure in any dramatic sense. It creates stability. That is enough. After a while, people begin to rise again. Chairs are pushed back slightly. Stools are moved aside. The space returns to its earlier arrangement. Hands are wiped on cloth. Sleeves are adjusted. Gloves are prepared. The meal leaves no visible trace. The room looks much the same as it did before. Only the body feels slightly warmer, slightly steadier. The village does not pause to acknowledge that nourishment has been taken. There is no gratitude expressed aloud. The day simply continues. Outside, those who had remained active shift their weight and adjust their clothing. They do not stop working entirely. The meal for them is brief and functional. A man eats standing near a wall, then returns to his task without delay. A woman finishes her portion and immediately begins folding a cloth. Children follow the same pattern. They eat, then wait quietly for what comes next. Time passes without being measured. There is no urgency to begin the afternoon. It will arrive on its own. The midday meal fades into memory almost as soon as it is finished. It is not something that will be recalled later. It does not mark the day as special or different. The simplicity of the food mirrors the simplicity of the routines. Nothing is meant to stand out. Everything is meant to repeat. As the warmth from the meal settles, the body prepares itself for further work. Movements resume naturally. The fire continues to burn. The light remains unchanged. The cold remains outside. The village holds its quiet balance, supported by small, ordinary meals that sustained life without interrupting it. Slowly, without notice, the day moves forward again, carrying everyone with it into the long, steady hours of afternoon. As the afternoon begins, the village does not change its pace. There is no clear signal that one part of the day has ended and another has begun. The light outside remains muted and pale, and the cold continues without variation. Afternoon work starts quietly, not because a new plan has been made, but because time has moved forward and familiar tasks return to attention. Inside the houses, people rise slowly from where they have been sitting. Movements are deliberate and unhurried. Clothing is adjusted. Sleeves are pulled down. Gloves are checked for small tears. Each action follows a sequence that has been repeated many times before. No one considers whether the work is necessary. It is understood that it is. In one house, a man lifts a bundle of wood and carries it toward the stove. He places the pieces carefully, arranging them so that they will be easy to reach later. He does not think about how many pieces remain. Experience tells him whether there is enough. Counting is unnecessary. A woman gathers a small set of tools from a shelf near the wall. She inspects them briefly, not because she expects to find a problem, but because it is part of the routine. Satisfied, she sits down near the window and begins a quiet task that requires steady hands but little thought. Her movements are slow and consistent. There is no need to finish quickly. Children remain nearby, occasionally shifting position or watching the movement of hands and tools. They do not interrupt. They understand the rhythm of the afternoon. This is a time for quiet activity, not for play. Outside, a few people step into the cold air to complete small tasks that were left unfinished earlier. Footprints appear again in the snow, overlapping with those made in the morning. The snow compresses softly underfoot. The sound remains subdued. Q. Near one of the sheds, a man adjusts a loose board. He presses it back into place and secures it with minimal effort. The repair is temporary, but it is sufficient. The shed does not need to look perfect. It needs only to remain standing. In another yard, a person clears a small area of snow near a doorway. The motion is repetitive. Snow is pushed aside slowly. The cleared space is modest. There is no attempt to create a wide path. Only enough space is needed to move comfortably. The forest at the edge of the village remains still. No one enters it now. The wood gathered earlier will be enough for the day. Additional work can wait. There is no pressure to complete everything at once. Inside the barns, animals remain calm. A person enters briefly to check on them. The door opens and closes without noise. The animals shift slightly, but do not react strongly. Everything appears as expected. The visit ends quickly. Back in the houses, the fire continues to burn steadily. Someone adds a piece of wood, then returns to their place. The warmth increases slightly. The room remains quiet. A man sits at the table again, working on a simple object made of wood. He turns it slowly, smoothing its surface. The work requires patience rather than skill. He does not hurry. The object will be used later. Perhaps today. Perhaps another day. The exact time does not matter. Nearby, a woman folds another piece of cloth. She aligns the edges carefully, though no one will notice if they are uneven. The act of folding itself is familiar and calming. When she finishes, she places the cloth with others that look exactly the same. Children occasionally stand and walk a few steps, then sit again. Their movements are contained. They do not leave the room. The cold outside discourages unnecessary movement. The afternoon continues without interruption. No one speaks loudly. No one calls out. Communication, when it happens, is quiet and brief. A request for an item. A simple response. Nothing more. Outside, the light begins to feel heavier, though it does not visibly change. The sky remains gray, but the sense of day slowly shifting toward evening is felt rather than seen. People do not react to this. They will adjust when it becomes necessary. A woman steps outside, carrying a small container. She moves carefully across the snow, following a familiar path. She empties the contents near the edge of the yard and returns inside. The entire task takes only a few minutes. It does not alter the rhythm of the day. In another house, someone repairs a tear in a garment. The needle moves slowly. Each stitch is placed with care. The repair is simple. The garment will last longer because of it. This sufficient. Tools are returned to their places as tasks are completed. Nothing is left out unnecessarily. Order is maintained quietly. The sound of the fire, the soft movement of fabric, and the occasional creak of wood continue to define the space. These sounds are constant and unremarkable. They do not draw attention to themselves. The village remains calm. There is no sense of anticipation. No one waits for a particular moment. The afternoon is not a preparation for something else. It is complete on its own. As time passes, fatigue does not appear suddenly. It builds slowly, unnoticed. People adjust their posture. They pause more frequently between movements. These changes happen without comment. Outside, the snow begins to reflect less light. The difference is subtle. It does not prompt immediate change. People continue working at the same pace. In the barns, everything remains stable. No further attention is needed. The animals are settled. The doors remain closed. Inside, someone moves closer to the fire, seeking warmth. Another person shifts slightly to make space. These adjustments are made without discussion. The afternoon work does not produce visible results. Nothing new is created. Nothing old is removed. The work maintains what already exists. This maintenance is continuous and uncelebrated. Children remain quiet. They observe, occasionally mimicking small movements with their hands. Learning happens without instruction. The village does not mark the passage of the afternoon. There is no signal to stop or to continue. Work flows naturally into stillness, and stillness flows back into small tasks. As the light outside grows dimmer, people begin to complete what they are doing. Not because the work is finished, but because the day is slowly changing. Tools are set aside. Objects are returned to shelves. The afternoon ends without ceremony. It does not conclude. It simply fades into the next phase of the day, leaving no clear boundary behind. The village remains steady, quiet, and unchanged, held together by routine and the slow movement of time. The afternoon begins to thin without drawing attention to itself. There is no clear moment when it changes from what came before. The light outside simply grows weaker, minute by minute, without announcing its retreat. The sky remains covered by a low, uniform layer of cloud. It does not move quickly. It does not break. It allows only a limited amount of light to reach the village below. Snow reflects what little light remains. Its surface stays pale and flat, offering no contrast and no detail. Paths remain visible only by habit. Inside the houses, people sense the shift through familiarity rather than observation. The work of the earlier hours begins to slow. Movements lengthen. Pauses grow more frequent. Hands rest for longer periods before returning to simple tasks. Tools are still in use, but less actively than before. The fire remains steady. Its warmth becomes more noticeable as the light outside fades. It continues to burn without change. People adjust their position slightly, drawing closer to the warmth. The movement is slow and unremarkable. Outside, the village shows no activity. No one moves between houses. No figures appear against the snow. The afternoon continues to fade. The difference between sky and ground becomes less distinct. Edges soften. Inside, tasks are completed gradually. Nothing new is begun. What remains is finished slowly. A piece of wood is added to the fire. The action is familiar and unhurried. The flames respond briefly, then settle again. The sound of the fire remains quiet and repetitive. It does not draw attention. People continue their work in silence. There is no conversation. The presence of others fills the space adequately. Light from the windows grows weaker. The rooms become more dependent on the fire for visibility. Shadows lengthen but remain soft. They do not move quickly. They simply deepen. The afternoon does not end. It dissolves. Outside, the snow darkens slightly as the light diminishes. It absorbs the change without resistance. Inside, posture begins to shift. Shoulders lower. Movements become heavier. Breathing becomes slower. Effort increases slightly, though it is not acknowledged. The fire's warmth spreads evenly. It remains the center of the room. Someone pauses their work and remains still for a moment longer than before. Nothing prompts the pause. It arrives naturally. Others do the same. Activity continues, but at a reduced pace. Tools are set down for longer periods. Hands rest on tables or in laps. The room grows quieter, not because sound disappears, but because movement does. Outside, the sky continues to dim. The remaining light becomes indistinct. Early darkness begins to form. It does not arrive suddenly. It gathers. Inside, a lamp is lit. The flame appears briefly bright, then settles into a steady glow. The light changes the room only slightly. It does not brighten it fully. It simply replaces what has been lost. No one reacts to the lamp. Its presence is expected. The fire continues to burn. Together, flame and lamp define the space. Outside, the village becomes harder to see. Houses blend into the darkness. Snow remains visible, but only faintly. The afternoon work ends without signal. Tasks are left where they are. People remain seated or standing near the fire. There is no urgency to move. Time stretches. It does not advance quickly. Breathing remains steady. Silence fills the spaces between sounds. Another lamp is lit in a nearby house. The light appears briefly through a window, then becomes steady. The village enters its evening posture. It does not change activity. It reduces it. Inside, clothing is adjusted for warmth. Movements are slow and economical. Hands rub together briefly, then rest. The fire is checked again. A small adjustment is made. The flames respond gently. Darkness outside deepens. The sky becomes indistinguishable from the ground. Paths disappear completely. Inside, the room remains stable. Light and warmth are contained. People remain quiet. Their attention turns inward without intention. The afternoon has fully withdrawn. Evening has not yet asserted itself. The village exists between states. Time continues without markers. Someone stands and moves slowly across the room. The movement is careful and brief. A chair shifts slightly, then settles. The fire crackles faintly as wood shifts. The sound fades. The room returns to stillness. Outside, the village is now surrounded by early night. The darkness is not complete, but it is close. The remaining light holds briefly, then fades further. No one rushes to begin anything new. The day releases its hold gradually. Fatigue settles into the body without announcement. Muscles relax. Movement slows further. Breathing deepens. The lamp's light remains steady. It does not flicker. The afternoon has ended, though no one marks the moment. The village transitions fully into early winter darkness, quietly and without resistance. Nothing more is required of the day. Evening has fully replaced the afternoon inside the houses, while outside the village has already disappeared into darkness. There is no remaining daylight to observe. Whatever light exists now comes only from fire and lamp, contained within the walls and steady in its presence. The snow beyond the windows no longer reflects anything visible, and the paths, fences, and roofs that were faintly distinguishable earlier are now absorbed completely into the night. Inside, the rooms become the entirety of the world. Walls hold warmth and sound in place. Everything beyond them feels distant, undefined, and without importance. The fire burns at the center of the room, lower than it was earlier, but unchanged in rhythm. Its flames are small, consistent, and predictable, offering warmth without asking for attention. Nearby, a lamp rests on a table or hangs from a beam. Its flame, calm and even, without flicker or variation. People remain close to the warmth, sitting or standing without urgency. Their movements are slower now, heavier than before, shaped by the gradual release of effort rather than by intention. The work of the afternoon has ended completely. Nothing remains unfinished, not because it was concluded deliberately, but because there is nothing left that requires completion. Hands rest more often than they move, and when they do move, it is only for the simplest and most familiar actions. A small evening meal is prepared quietly. It is simpler than the midday meal and does not interrupt the stillness of the room. Food is already present, stored, and familiar. Nothing is brought in from outside. Bread is taken down again, its weight and texture already known, and it is sliced slowly with deliberate, unhurried movements. Each motion of the knife is controlled and even, producing only a soft, brief sound that disappears immediately. A pot is moved slightly closer to the fire. Its contents warm gradually without being watched. Bowls are placed on the table, their surfaces catching the lamplight for a moment before fading back into shadow. Utensils are set beside them in the same arrangement used every evening. No adjustments are needed, and nothing is checked twice. People sit down one by one. Chairs shift slightly and then settle. The room grows still again as soon as the movement ends. No one speaks. Conversation does not begin, and no one expects it to. The presence of others fills the space sufficiently. The food is served slowly, portions modest and unremarkable. Eating begins without any signal. Hands move calmly, and the pace remains even and unchanged. The sounds of eating are minimal, blending easily with the quiet presence of fire and lamp. Outside, the night remains complete and unmoving, offering no sound and no interruption. Inside, warmth holds steady, and the contrast between inside and outside feels absolute. Faces remain neutral, expressions unchanged, thoughts unexpressed. The meal continues slowly, and between bites, hands rest on the table or in laps. Movements pause naturally, without effort. A child grows drowsy, pausing longer between movements. No one comments, and no one intervenes. Another person finishes early and waits quietly, their bowl remaining on the table. The pot is returned to its place near the fire, its lid left on, the contents staying warm without attention. Eventually, bowls empty, one by one, and the moment passes without notice. Eating ends without announcement, and the room settles again into stillness. Time stretches without being measured. No one stands immediately. The warmth of the food lingers, spreading slowly and evenly. Breathing becomes slower, posture relaxes, and shoulders lower slightly. The fire produces a faint sound as a piece of wood settles, and then the sound fades. After a while, bowls are gathered and stacked carefully. Water is poured into a basin, producing a brief cloud of steam that disappears quickly. Each bowl is rinsed slowly, hands moving methodically through motions repeated countless times. Utensils are cleaned next and placed aside. The table is wiped with a cloth in a steady, unbroken motion, and when finished, the cloth is folded and set down without further attention. People return to their seats or remain standing near the fire. The evening deepens quietly, without marking its own passage. The lamp's light defines the room more strongly now, and shadows soften rather than lengthen. losing their edges as they settle into place. Outside, the village remains invisible, unchanged by the passing minutes. Inside, the fire continues its steady work, requiring no adjustment. Clothing is adjusted slightly for warmth. Movements are small and brief. Someone shifts position, leaning back or to the side, and then remains still again. Silence fills the room completely, not because sound disappears, but because nothing interrupts it. Time becomes less noticeable. Minutes pass without recognition, and the evening does not progress toward activity. Instead, it reduces it. A child is guided gently towards sleep, the movement slow and careful without disturbance. Breathing deepens and stillness increases. Adults remain awake a little longer, sitting quietly without purpose or direction. The fire burns lower, its light softer and more contained. The lamp remains steady, unchanged. Outside, nothing moves. Wind does not rise. Snow remains undisturbed. Inside, the room holds warmth and quiet together. Another small piece of wood is added to the fire, the action familiar and unremarkable. The flames respond briefly and then return to their steady state. No one watches them. The evening stretches further, its rhythm unchanged. Posture grows heavier, muscles relax more fully, and thoughts fade without resistance. Eventually, someone stands and moves slowly across the room. A chair shifts and settles. The fire crackles faintly, and the sound disappears. People begin to prepare for rest, not through action, but through continued stillness. The evening has nearly completed itself. Inside, the houses settle into their final state of quiet. Nothing more is required of the day. The village rests indoors, held gently by firelight and silence as the night deepens fully. Night has fully settled over the village. There is no further transition to observe, no remaining trace of the day that came before it. Darkness has reached its complete and steady form, resting evenly over the landscape without movement or variation. The sky above the village is dark and uniform. It shows no pattern and no depth. There are no visible stars, no breaks in the cloud cover, and no shifting light. It remains unchanged, moment after moment. Snow covers the ground completely. It rests on rooftops, fences, paths, and open spaces with the same quiet consistency. No marks appear on its surface. Nothing disturbs it. The village exists beneath the stillness without resistance. Houses remain closed and dark. Doors do not open. Windows reveal nothing beyond the interior shadows. Inside the houses, the day has ended entirely. Every routine has already completed itself. There is no remaining task, no unfinished work, and no preparation left to make. Rooms are quiet and stable. Furniture remains in place. Objects lie exactly where they were last set down. Nothing is being handled. People have settled into rest gradually, without any clear moment of transition. Bodies rest in positions shaped by familiarity and comfort rather than intention. Breathing becomes the most noticeable sound within each house. It is slow, steady, and evenly spaced. It continues without effort or variation. The fire still burns, though lower now than before. Its presence is gentle and contained. It provides warmth without calling attention to itself. No one watches the fire. It is no longer observed as light or flame, only felt as warmth and a faint background sound. A lamp is extinguished in one of the rooms. The flame disappears quietly, leaving the space slightly darker. A change settles immediately. No one responds. The moment passes without notice. Children are fully asleep. Their breathing is deeper and slower than earlier in the evening. Their bodies remain relaxed and still. Adults follow shortly after. Wakefulness fades without resistance. Eyes close. Muscles release their remaining tension. There is no moment that marks the beginning of sleep. It arrives gradually and remains. Outside, the village remains completely still. No footsteps appear in the snow. No animals move through the paths. The cold holds its place. It does not intensify or lessen. It remains constant, unchanged by the passing hours. Inside, warmth stays contained within the walls of the houses. The fire shifts slightly as the wood settles. The sound is faint and brief. Silence returns immediately afterward. Time continues to pass, but it is no longer noticed. Minutes and hours lose their distinction. The night stretches forward evenly. It does not progress in stages. It does not build toward anything. Darkness fills each room consistently. No corner appears darker than another. No shape draws attention. Curtains hang still. Windows show only darkness beyond the glass. The houses remain closed and quiet. Nothing moves from one room to another. Breathing continues, slow and rhythmic. It blends with the faint presence of the fire. No voices are heard. No thoughts are expressed. Nothing demands attention. The routines of the day no longer apply. There is no work to resume and no schedule to follow. The night accepts this without response. Snow reflects no light. Paths remain invisible beneath its surface. The fire burns lower but steadily. It does not require adjustment. It will continue until it no longer does. People remain asleep. Their posture does not change. Their presence remains quiet and complete. There is no sense of anticipation. Morning does not feel near or far. It exists somewhere beyond the night without urgency. The world feels contained within the village. Everything beyond it seems distant and undefined. Silence deepens, not because it grows louder, but because nothing interrupts it. The night holds a single, unbroken state. It does not shift or change. Inside each house, rest continues uninterrupted. The fire produces a soft sound as another piece of wood settles. The sound fades quickly. Darkness remains even and calm. Outside, the village appears unchanged from one moment to the next. Snow, roofs, and paths remain exactly as they were. The air does not move. Wind does not rise. Time continues to pass unnoticed. Inside, breathing remains steady. The sound fills the rooms gently. Sleep deepens naturally. Muscles remain relaxed. Movement does not return. No dreams are observed. No thoughts surface. The night remains long and undisturbed. The fire continues its quiet work. Its light is minimal and contained. Shadows do not shift. They remain fixed and soft. The village rests beneath snow and darkness without effort. Nothing happens. Nothing is expected to happen. The hours continue without markers. The night remains whole and uninterrupted. The village sleeps, unchanged and unremarkable, held gently within the long, quiet winter night. The day has ended, not with conclusion, but with complete rest.